Hi everyone, just wanted to point out that one thing I didn't really emphasize in this video is the projectile selection and how important it is. So I just wanted to put this at the start of the video because it is very important to consider what projectiles are available for what rifle you're thinking of getting and what situation you'll be hunting in a lot of the time. So really big thing. I don't feel like I touched on it, but I didn't emphasize it enough. One of the very critical components to consider when you're selecting a hunting rifle as an option. So thought I'd just add that in, guys. I realise we'll be covering old ground for a lot of you, but this is aimed at people coming into the sport and new to hunting. So just bear with me on that. I know there's a lot of experienced people watching out there, and it might be, hopefully not too tedious, but at the same time, if you do care to watch the whole thing and you do end up doing that, please put your thoughts down below. Was it good information, good advice? Did I miss something out? And yeah, please add anything that may be helpful to those people as well. So let's get into it.
G'day everyone, welcome back to Controlled Recoil. So I firstly want to start this video with a massive thanks to everyone for the support of the channel. It's been it's been great. It's growing really fast, and it's awesome to see you guys all in the comments and stuff like that. Now, this video's come about because I've had a lot of questions on this topic. So for those of you that are new to the channel, be aware this is not the usual video. You get videos like this every now and again, but most of it is hunting content, which I noticed that a lot of you guys subscribed on the last video. There's been a lot of subscribers join in the last month. So I realized that, there will be more content like that. You're probably expecting that, but there's just been so many questions on this topic that I thought it's just far more efficient to just get this video out to you guys, and then the info's there for you in a more efficient way. So, selecting the right cartridge for your situation. Now, I'll give the context of the video. These questions are generally people that are starting out. They're wanting their first large game rifle or deer rifle, whatever it may be. Let's assume, from the beginning that we're not hunting dangerous game or anything like that. However, just be aware if you're in a country that they are present where you're hunting, it might be a consideration in a potential defensive situation. But for the most part, let's just focus that we're hunting, all the usual animals without the dangerous game thing. Although, it is a consideration if they're around. Now, because we're starting out, let's assume we're not reloading yet. We don't have a multitude of rifles, so we want something that's going to be relatively versatile with a good amount of selection for projectiles and ammunition availability and things like that. Now, I'm not going to just go out and tell you this is the cartridge to get, or these 3 cartridges or whatever it may be are going to be the ones, and you'll probably see by the end of this video why I'm not going to do that, because I do think it's potentially not good advice. Now, it's obviously a lot of these come about from people looking at those ballistics and things like that. Look, guys, there are just way too many situations. This is a worldwide platform, obviously, different countries and different animals, species, that sort of thing. So me telling you this is the cartridge to get is not sound advice, in my opinion. What I'm going to give you is some logical steps to narrow down a selection of cartridges, because there will most likely be more than one. There's a lot of cartridges out there that are quite similar, and it's the finer details that will end up maybe deciding what's going to be best for you, whether it be efficiency out of a certain barrel length, whether it's the selection of ammunition available for you in your area. There's so many different things to consider, so we'll get into it. The first one being, we need to make sure that we're meeting legal requirements when we're getting into a cartridge, selecting a cartridge in a rifle system. So a lot of states or countries will have a minimum requirement for taking animals or hunting certain animals. So we want to make sure that we're meeting those requirements and we're, hunting legally, basically. Now, just be aware, state to state or country to country, wherever you are, this will vary. There might be different laws for each state. So have a look at where you're going to be hunting, what species you might be hunting. Remember that the more species you can hunt, sometimes there's different areas with different hunting seasons. So being able to have a rifle that is legally allowed to hunt multiple species is going to increase your opportunity or hunting time. So that's really important to consider. There's no point in going out and blowing a whole lot of money on a rifle system and then finding that you're only limited to a certain number of species. There'll also be limitations, obviously, for the really large stuff and the smaller animals, but you want a reasonable amount of game and have that versatility. So moving on, we'll put that to the side. That's the legal stuff out of the way. Minimum requirements are only obviously a guideline. Your situation, you're going to have to look at that and decide how much energy and stopping power you're going to need to hunt ethically and have clean kills. Now, the reason why that's different from the legal standpoint is if you're hunting in certain areas where you're taking longer shots, for example, you're going to require more energy to do that successfully generally. So just be aware of that. Now, to find that information, obviously local hunting stores and stuff like that are going to be helpful. Also, the ammunition manufacturers often put a recommendation on the ammunition as to what it's suitable for. So that's an avenue you can go down to perhaps select the right ammunition or the right projectile as well. That's going to be really important, and that's going to give you an idea on what those cartridges are suitable for. Moving on from that is ammunition availability. Now, I don't think that gets talked about nearly enough. This is going to vary drastically between countries. Every country seems to have their own sort of standardized range of cartridges that are on the shelf in all your gun stores that are going to be easy to get access to, and it's going to make training and getting out there and being proficient with your firearm a lot easier when you have ammunition available to you. So just be aware that when you're looking at cartridges, especially if you're just selecting them from a ballistics table, which a lot of people do, they seem to fall on those modern cartridges, which are great. Obviously, they're very efficient, and there's many reasons why you'd select them. Just be aware that often comes with a cost. And if ammunition cost is too high, it's also not available to you. You know, everyone has a budget. Just be aware of this. You want to be able to have ammunition available and also be able to afford to feed your rifle. Practice is obviously key, and if you don't want to have something that you can only afford to fire just a couple of shots here and there. I do hear this a little bit at times when you're talking to people that they don't want to go and shoot a box of ammo because that's this much money, and you're saying, well, if you're not going to put the time in, especially when a lot of these cartridges are the larger ones that we are using for longer range, you really need to be practicing with them. And if you're not doing that, you're not going to be proficient or ethical when you're hunting. So just be aware of that. There's a balance point of maybe you have to just hunt and get closer to begin with to have the versatility in that rifle system and have it affordable. And you're better to have something with a little less power that you're very, very proficient with and accurate with, that you've trained a lot with, that's cheaper to run than those larger ones. Now remember, those ballistic tables, you'll have these niche cartridges that really stand out. Often they are just not easy to get ammunition for, especially when we're talking about buying factory ammunition to begin with. So there will be certain cartridges that really stand out on paper, but like I say, the practical side of this and selecting a cartridge, a lot of those cartridges can sometimes be very, very hard. Either a special order to get ammo, and sometimes that's a large wait time. So just be aware. This is why these are really good things to consider to get the best out of your rifle system. So we've got legal stuff, we've got our efficiency to actually hunt ethically with the amount of energy the rifle delivers, stopping power, etc. We've got the ammunition availability and the cost. Now let's look at the rifle itself, the platform that you're basing this around. Now this is going to have an effect in several different things. Some rifle platforms are more accurate than others inherently. Some lend themselves to certain calibers and cartridges and are better for that. We've got lever actions, bolt actions, pump actions, semi-automatics, whatever. Reliability might be for feeding might be an issue, especially if you are in areas that do have the potential to run into dangerous animals. Sometimes you want that really reliable feeding, so that might be a factor. Barrel length, barrel twist, So the configuration of your rifle really matters, along with mounting options. You know, some rifles are limited to what type of optics you can mount on them and how good they are for that. So just be aware that configuration is going to have a large impact. Obviously some are more universal than others, but that's definitely something to consider. Your cartridge, remember, when you shorten those barrels, it's going to really lessen that cartridge efficiency in most cases. So there are some that stand out above the rest of being more efficient out of a short barrel. Again, this is something to consider, especially if you're not reloading yet, because as a reloader you can choose different powders to sort of gain that efficiency back. Yeah, there's always a trade-off. Again, something to consider. Are you going to fit a muzzle device to it? What weight's your rifle? Are you legally allowed to fit a muzzle device to help mitigate recoil? If you can't, this might be a factor as well. Do you need a lower recoiling round? Are you going to be more accurate with that? Things like that. So your rifle configuration is definitely something to consider when you're selecting your cartridge. We'll move on. So barrel life. Some cartridges really wear out barrels fast. Now, most of them are pretty good, but again, looking at those ballistics tables, if we're only going to jump to them to select our cartridge, suddenly some of those real standout ones with the really awesome ballistics are actual barrel burners. They get through a barrel very fast. You have severe throat erosion in your barrel, and you're not going to get the longevity out of them. So that might be not a problem for you, but it is a cost you might need to factor in if you need to, you know, get barrels in the first couple of years and start replacing barrels. So something to consider. The next thing is the twist rate. Some of the older cartridges don't have the same twist rates, so it can limit you when you go, if you are going to reload down the track and grow into that rifle system. You might not be interested in reloading, but if you are, you might consider the more versatility of the faster twist barrels for bullet weights. This is where the modern cartridges will come in. You know, some of the really new ones that have come out come standard with fast twist rates. The ammunition you're going to be able to get for them off the shelf is often very accurate and more of a match grade quality. You might hear that term a lot, and that's going to be very tight tolerances, very accurate ammunition straight off the shelf, and it's going to mimic those hand loads that you may, you know, it's going to mimic that performance of hand loads a lot closer, but from factory ammunition. So that's where there's some real benefits there of going modern. Obviously that comes with a price. Again, watch that budget. There's always a balancing point. Be aware, if you go through this process, you know, you'll quickly eliminate a lot of cartridges and you should be left with a good amount, and from there, you know, if you work through that, it'll be the small details that will start weeding out the different options for you, and you'll be left with a good selection that you probably can't go wrong with. You know, 4 or 5 cartridges that are probably perfect for your scenario. Don't get too worried by that stage. You'll generally be in very good hands, and that's maybe when you want to start asking other people in the area, you know, what are we having success with? And this is where I'd like you guys to comment, you know, if you are interested in helping some people out that are starting their journey into hunting, and making, you know, a good experience for them, efficient with their money and their time, and, you know, lead them into success. You know, throw a couple of examples in. What do you hunt? What rifles do you prefer for that hunting, and why you think that they're beneficial? Obviously, you know, there's different perspectives to look at here. Some of the military sort of cartridges, there's a large amount of surplus ammo around. Yes, it might not be good for hunting, but it might be good for training, you know, and getting trigger time in and being efficient with that gun. So just be aware that yeah, each rifle system and things will have their benefits. This is why I've done this video, and I feel like it's a really good process to go through to really get a good, solid, practical, affordable, and versatile hunting system to start with, and give you the most chance of opportunity and success. So again, I've done this off the cuff, so if you've made it this far, you've done really well. I know it's a lot of talking, but yeah, throw those comments down below. Let's help people out, and yeah, let's continue to keep the community growing. Controlled Recoil is growing fast, and it's so cool to see. And yeah, again, a massive shout out to everyone. Super, just yeah, thank you so much for the support. Keep those comments coming, and there's going to be some more hunting action coming very soon. So stay tuned for that. Really appreciate it. We'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.